Lore. Lore never changes. Bethesda contradicted lore to gather shills and wealth. Microsoft created an empire in its lust for gold and intellectual property. ZeniMax shaped a battered franchise into a gaming superpower. But lore never changes. The Fallout TV show is often praised as a faithful adaptation of the Fallout franchise. I would like to politely disagree. My basis for this disagreement is the tendency of the show to constantly contradict the games. Am I able to name all those countless contradictions? Well...
How could I possibly refuse a request phrased like that?
1. Wastelanders being inherently radioactive to a degree that ought to be lethal. 2. Wastelanders being dumb morons who don't understand how cutlery works. 3. Stimpaks being magic heal potions. 4. The LA Boneyard being a deserted wasteland with no evidence of post-war buildings, despite it being the NCR industrial heartland. 5. The name Boneyard not being used once in the entire series to describe the LA area the show takes place in. 6. The settlement of Adatum, along with factions such as the Gunrunners, Blades, and Followers of the Apocalypse not existing in the Boneyard. If they did, they would be expected to have a far bigger presence in the story. It must be asked, why did we not see the biggest factions of the Boneyard in a story set entirely in the Boneyard? The answer is likely because the writers didn't know they existed or otherwise didn't care. 7. 4 vaults sitting in the open, undisguised in the Master's backyard and unplundered despite the Master knowing where the vaults are near him due to taking over the demonstration vault in the LA Boneyard. 8. 𝐷𝐞𝐭𝐫𝐨𝐬𝐻𝐿 describes vault dwellers as an endangered species despite vault dwellers founding major settlements such as Shady Sands, Arroyo, Vault City, and a little place he might know called the Boneyard.
It's just east of here, an underground shelter from the war. Most families in NCR came from it, so it's rightfully ours.
You're wearing a vault suit. I never imagined I would meet an inhabitant of another vault. This Vault 13, where is it located? Oh, now I understand. But what proof do you have that your ancestor was from a vault? Very well, let me see. These are authentic. Unbelievable. You are a survivor from another vault. Welcome to our city. You must have suffered much in the outside world.
9. 𝐷𝐿𝐴𝐸𝐸 says this is a lawless place despite the NCR, the Legion, New Vegas, the She Empire, and numerous other law-abiding nations surrounding the Boneyard. If anything, lawlessness is the exception, not the rule, and vaults certainly are not the only civilized places on Earth. You may argue 𝐷𝐿𝐴𝐸𝐸 is enclave, therefore it checks out he's underestimating the civilization of other peoples. I would counter, no, clearly 𝐷𝐿𝐴𝐸𝐸 doesn't have that opinion if he's willing to entrust such a powerful technology as cold fusion to the NCR. 10. Wastelanders being depicted as rude, greedy, incompetent peasants, as opposed to, you know, human beings. 11. Philly existing in the Boneyard. 12. Settlements being made out of recycled crap as opposed to adobe buildings, paved streets, dilapidated pre-war buildings, and favela-like buildings. Even in Fallout 1, over a century ago, things were better constructed. 13. Vault dwellers are considered by Wastelanders to be... I quote, dipshits, and incapable of surviving despite the titular Vault Dweller literally saving humanity, and being held in such high regard by the NCR, they gave him a statue. Then there's the fact that most people, including Ma June herself, are descended from Vault Dwellers in the Boneyard, including the Followers of the Apocalypse, who are held in high regard by basically everyone as humanitarians. 14. Wastelanders thinking vaults were places for rich people to hide in despite it being public knowledge after Fallout 2 that they were used for social experiments by the Enclave. 15. Vault-Tec making cyanide pills instead of vaults. 16. This thing being called a gulper despite there already being gulpers in Fallout. 17. A lake in the middle of the California desert when Chief Hannon explained in New Vegas that all the lakes in the NCR were drained. A clever historical parallel that references the similar case of the draining of the Tulare in the 1800s, once the largest body of water in the United States west of the Mississippi. It was drained for the sake of private landowners at the cost of indigenous tribes, the ecosystem, California's natural beauty, and those exact same short-sighted private landowners who drained the Tulare of its water as they discover to their shock and horror it's rather difficult to use a lake for irrigation when it no longer exists. Things that are very thematically relevant in regards to the NCR. If only we had someone writing Fallout with a genuine interest in the history of the Wild West. One that went beyond an infantile fascination with corny spaghetti westerns. If that were the case, this ingeniously subtle bit of world building would have been appreciated, instead of retconned for the sake of an action sequence for a target audience that enjoys finger-based monstrosities, whoever that particular breed of degenerate would be.
We now return to Finger and Finger on the Finger Network.
Yeah, I think we prefer our old TV. But Finger TV is way better, right, Munt? Kill me! He loves it!
18. This random radioactive pail of water implies every water source is radioactive without an actual source of radiation, despite bodies of water on the west coast not being inherently radioactive. 19. Slavery, or otherwise human trafficking, existing in the heart of NCR territory, where the anti-slaver faction, the Rangers, almost certainly operate.
To protect against all forms of tyranny. As simple as that. 30, 40 years ago, the wasteland was full of despots. Slavers, raiders, tough-talking hoodlums with gangs who'd like to kick around towns. Back then, the NCR military was still young. Couldn't cover much ground. It took groups like ours to tip the balance back to the good guys.
20. Mr. Handies can fix missing digits with magic laser beams and a necrotic finger. 21. Ghouls require a headshot to die. They even made a joke about this in Fallout 3, but obviously somebody didn't get it. 22. Power armor locking a person inside and needing a second person to unlock it once its power source is removed. 23. Right away making radiation disappear by magic and not by expelling it from the body through... well, you know. 24. Fiends being cannibals and also in the Boneyard somehow, instead of the chem-addicted raiders we all know and love from the Mojave. Frankly, of all the awful things the fiends do, cannibalism's the one crime against humanity they are not known for. 25. Shady Sands being several hundred miles south of where it should be.
Don't tell me he's headed for California. Oh, well, good luck. What's this? Well, our little northern friend. It looks like he really is going to California. Oh, well, maybe his master's there. Well, here's that determined dog again. He's really serious about this California situation. Well, our four-legged friend warily approaches his goal. What determination. He's made it!
26. Shady Sands having a tiny 32,000 population, despite the NCR having 1 million people by Fallout New Vegas. 27. Nuclear weapons making gigantic craters, like something out of Looney Tunes, and the NCR not just immediately rebuilding Shady Sands with their wealth of resources. Hiroshima started rebuilding almost as soon as the fallout had settled. This is what Hiroshima looked like before, and this is a decade later. 28. The NCR apparently being one small town that didn't work out, as opposed to an entire republic comprising of multiple states.
I don't have time to discuss all the different aspects of the NCR with you, but if you want it all in a nutshell, the NCR is progress. If you wander around the wasteland, you'll find all sorts of tribes, villages, and such where people spend most of their time trying to survive. The NCR gives its citizens a shot at something more. We have laws, currency, healthcare, government, all the things that were lost. It's not perfect, but it's worth protecting, which is why we also have the largest military in existence.
What happened?
It's the same thing that always happens.
Who's laughing now?
29. A kid surviving a nuclear blast in a fridge. They even made jokes about that in New Vegas. 30. Vault-Tec owning a hospital for some reason.
There could be anything in there.
Yeah. Like a first aid kit.
For God's sake, don't look behind you!
31. The vaults clearly haven't opened yet, despite all the vaults except Vault 101 having opened by 2277. 32. The blackboard implying the NCR existed a decade before Shady Sands was its capital, implying the NCR existed independently of Shady Sands, and Shady Sands didn't become NCR.
Was Shady Sands. Most folks call it NCR now. New California Republic. Pretty impressive name, huh?
33. The blackboard, supported by the library book, Lucy saying the lockdown was in 77 and the age of the characters.
2. In the Great Plague of 77, everyone had to quarantine. They couldn't work the farms together. People starved. My mother included.
And finally, Common Sense, depicting the nuclear bombing of Shady Sands in 2277, despite New Vegas mentioning Shady Sands/NCR several times and taking place in 2281. 34. The NCR citizens, despite being civilized, normal people, are all now blood-drinking satanic cultists.
I'm a private in the NCR Army, and I've been proudly serving for 2 years now. Although if you were to ask what I'm doing right this instant, I'm patrolling the farms. It's a safe post, but a little boring. I do get to take shots at marauding mole rats every once in a while, and that's always fun.
Oh, I'm not. I'm making my way to New Vegas. They say anything goes there, and best of all, the NCR can't mess it up for you. I'll get there eventually. I've heard that you can't even get into the Strip unless you're rich. Born and raised, things back in California are better than they've ever been, according to my grandpa. The raiders are mostly gone now, and it's easy enough to get a job at one of the mills or farms. But now there's taxes and laws and other things. The NCR keeps things safe and orderly, but it's all very boring. So I came out east, towards the frontier.
Lord, that was a long time ago. Hardly remember who I was then. Just a naive girl. The one you call the Vault Dweller. Is he still alive? Yes. There's a resemblance. You've got the same fire, too. I was always afraid that he was nothing but a skeleton somewhere in the desert. Figures. Well, I was pretty young when we met. There was a gang of raiders, the Cons, who had gotten hold of me. Things were looking pretty bad when all of a sudden this stranger shows up and rescues me. Your Vault Dweller. I used to envy him that. I wanted a life of adventure, but I stayed here and took over as mayor when my dad died. Been running this place and building NCR ever since. Guess it turned out to be a pretty big life after all.
Hold up. What's the password? Head on through.
Here you go. I hope this helps. Welcome. There's food and water here for any citizen of the NCR. Please, Have some. No, I'm afraid we don't. Don't you have a friend you wanted to bring in? You were right. But here, take another helping for your friend. It'll be our secret.
Greetings. Your business in Shady Sands might be... I know of no village. Well, to my regret, I have not. Which begs the question, how did you make that passage? Yes, yes. I shall believe you, for now. But we do not trust easily, especially those who might be dangerous. Know that Seth and I will be watching you.
Thanks for coming. Yeah, we'll see if I stay. You'll stay.
Pleasure to meet you. I'm Dr. Thomas Hildern, Director of Operations, OSI East. The Office of Science and Industry. It's a rather expansive topic. I could talk for hours, but I'm sure I'd bore you. Suffice to say, we are the leading edge of the NCR. Our work focuses on practical matters, medicine, engineering, biology. The dam, for instance. OSI routes its energy supply to our cities in the West. That's only one responsibility of this office. Director of the entire OSI? Me? If I didn't know better, I'd say you were trying to plant seditious ideas in my head.
Flame Mother, we remember. Bring back the past as we remember. We bring back Shady Sands as we remember.
I'm not a recruitment officer. You want to join the Army? I'm sure someone at McCarran can point you in the right direction. Impressive, aren't they? You don't see anything like this outside of NCR territory, that's for sure. We get the water, clean water, pumped in from Lake Mead. If you follow the big pipes, they'll take you all the way to the lake. A lot of the crops grown here support the various NCR camps in the region. McCarran, Golf, and Forlorn Hope, to name a few. We can't have wastelanders popping in here for a free meal, so my squad and I are assigned to keep things from going to hell.
We bring back those taken from us. We bring back those taken from us. By covering ourselves in their ashes.
Howdy. Something I can help you with? Sure do. Came from the hub on account of the Thaler Act. Farming's decent work, but the whole thing's a bum deal. Something the politicians back in Shady Sands came up with. They pay us to move here and farm the land. They even protect the fields. Bad soil and ration water. It's to be expected around here. But the rationing's off. Worst part is NCR won't admit it. Pretty hard to meet their crop quotas with 20% less water than we're supposed to be getting. Not that OSI cares about any of this. They're part of the deal, the Thaler Act. We work the fields while they protect the crops and the water. A lot of folks come to New Vegas and lose everything in free side of the Strip. They get hungry, desperate, and try to take our hard work. Much as I sympathize, their theft would put me in a bad spot. I got a crop quota to meet. Everything I can. Farmers out here don't have the luxury of being picky. I get by mostly on maize and tobacco.
We bring back those taken from us by covering ourselves in their ashes. To bring back Shady Sands, blood must spill.
Well, there's what we're supposed to be doing and what we're actually doing. There's a big gap between those two things, about as wide as that lake out there. protect against all forms of tyranny. As simple as that. Sitting on the shore of Lake Mead, looking east, listening to a radio, trying to not get too many people killed. I'm too old to be slapping leather, but I had hoped for something else. More than this, anyway.
And I think there's somebody you should meet. Yeah, who's that?
Must spill. Blood must spill.
Blood must spill.
Blood must spill.
Blood must spill.
Bring back Shady Sands. Blood must spill.
Bring back Shady Sands. Blood must spill.
O Flame Mother.
O Flame Mother.
O Flame Mother. You will be our salvation.
O Flame Mother. You will be our salvation.
We bring back those taken from us by covering ourselves in their ashes. To bring back Shady Sands, blood must spill.
Bring back Shady Sands, blood must spill. And I think there's somebody you should meet. Yeah, who's that?
Must spill. Blood must spill.
Blood must spill.
Blood must spill.
Blood must spill.
To bring back Shady Sands, blood must spill.
Bring back Shady Sands, blood must spill.
O Flame Mother.
O Flame Mother.
O Flame Mother. You will be our salvation.
O Flame Mother. You will be our salvation.
Mr. Howard?
I'm a big fan.
But this seems lovely. Oh.
Spill.
Blood must spill.
Blood must spill.
Blood must spill.
Bring back Shady Sands, blood must spill.
Bring back Shady Sands, blood must spill.
It certainly sounds like it.